Good afternoon, friends. In my previous lecture, I held a discussion on the word public and administration, public administration. And if you recall, I discussed that the word public has three meanings. Three meanings. The first meaning of the word public is that it is associated with government or state rather than any private entity. Second meaning of the word public, as I discussed, that it is related to public at large, entire common mass rather than a particular group or particular community. And the third meaning of the word public, as I discussed, that it is related to transparency rather than secrecy. Then I discussed the word administration. You know very well that administration can be defined as an organized collective effort among two or more persons towards the accomplishment of a common objective. So wherever you find that two or more persons, they are working together, and such collective effort is institutionalized in terms of what, how and why, how to do that work and for what purpose. If things are well organized in furtherance of a common objective, that is known as administration. If such administration is taking place on behalf of the government, which is committed to public at large and is done with due transparency, it is known as public administration. I discussed it in my previous lecture. Let's move on. The second topic is significance of public administration. Significance of public administration. We are talking about public administration in terms of activities. We are not talking about public administration as a discipline or subject. So, significance of public administration. Firstly, we need to understand the significance of anything, any organization, institution, or for that matter, any, the movement or any activity. Significance of anything is basically all about its relevance. What is not relevant to the society? What is not relevant to any society is not significant. So it is against this backdrop, if you examine, you will find that the public administration has always been significant in terms of playing a very important role in all societies since long, from time immemorial. In fact, the history of public administration or the history of course of evolution of public administration is as old as the history of the evolution of human civilization. It means it is difficult to think of any civilization. It is difficult to think of any civilization without some kind of administration in its center. Why? How? Because when you think of a civilized society, what kind of picture comes to your mind? When you think of a civilized society, you think of a society which is stable. Why? Because the behavior of the people is predictable. There is some kind of regularity. There is some kind of discipline, or there is some kind of certainty in the behavior of the people because of the customs or traditions or the laws or rules or regulations. But most important thing is some kind of understanding among the people in that society, that what one can do and what one or others cannot do. It means settlement in terms of individual rights and obligations. Settlement in terms of individual rights and obligations, or rights and obligations of groups and communities. It is something which is prerequisite to the development of any civilized society. So in simple words, a civilized society is the one where people enjoy their rights and they also respect the rights of others. In this way, some kind of adjustment or acceptance of difference takes place, and then only they can think of doing something better in life. A society, I won't say frictionless society, but a society where to a great extent the friction or conflict which could arise in day-to-day life, the cause of such friction has been addressed, that what we can do and what we cannot do. Now the question arises that a society may develop an understanding what to do and what not to do, but how to enforce it? It is here that the administration comes to play an important role. 500 to 700 persons in a small community, they can assemble and they can decide what is right and what is wrong, what is justice, what is injustice, what I can do, what you cannot do. All such things can be decided, but its implementation, its execution on sustained basis is a very challenging thing. It is something for which administration is brought into existence. Once clear? So the first point, and the significance of administration, that administration plays a centripetal role in any society. Administration keeps the entire society, group or community intact. It is very much like gravitational force. It is analogous to the gravitational force in the earth. Just as because of gravitational force, entire earth remains intact. Similarly, because of some kind of administration in the center, the society remains intact, because administration is capable of defining and executing the mutual rights and obligations of the people in each society. It can enforce it, and those who are violating it, administration can also punish them. In this way, a society can be run on sustained basis. This is the first point you need to understand. Then, the significance of administration also depends on what kind of society it is placed within. It means if public administration is seen in the context of a traditional society, an ancient period or medieval period, so you will find that the significance of public administration is there, but not so much. Why? Because public administration in those societies were confined only to collection of revenue, maintenance of law and order, war management. Why? Because there was monarchy, as it was not like a welfare state. It was a warfare state. So administration, what kind of context administration is placed in, it decides and determines the role and significance of public administration. So in a traditional society, role of public administration will be remains confined to collection of revenue and maintenance of law and order, war management, etc. But on the other hand, in a modern society, in a modern democratic welfare state, also in a modern society, the role of public administration will be mind-bogglingly multifarious. Why? Because unlike warfare state or monarchy, in a modern democratic welfare state, public administration is required to assume multifarious responsibilities. It will have to look after. It means it cannot remain confined only to collection of revenue and maintenance of law and order. Public administration is required to take care of various subjects like public health or education or development of infrastructure or social justice, women empowerment, environmental protection, wildlife protection. Many things are there. It means public administration in a modern state is a very complex phenomenon. As if the society is simple, needs and aspirations of the society is very much limited, the role of public administration too will be very much limited, confined to some basic functions. As the society undergoes changes, when society becomes complex, it means it was an agrarian society, now it has become industrial society. It was a warfare state, now it has become a welfare state. Getting a point? So movement from warfare state to welfare state, agrarian society to modern industrial society, monarchical form of polity to democratic form of polity. If these kind of changes keep taking place or take place, the changes take place in any society, obviously the expectations from administration will also undergo changes. So in ancient period, people used to demand very limited things. People had very limited needs and aspirations from administration. So administration had a very limited role, and consequently, it didn't have so much of significance. But in a modern society, people expect many things from administration, and that's why administration has a multifarious role, and administration has become so much significant. So movement of society from agrarian to industrial society, and then a movement from warfare state to welfare state, from monarchical form of government to democratic form of government, all such changes in the contextual setting of public administration has enhanced its significance. Today we are dependent on public administration for a wide range of goods and services. You talk about infrastructural development or public health or for education or social justice or women empowerment or environmental protection and many more things. Different kind of services are being provided by public administration. Today, public administration is involved in quasi-legislative functions. Public administration is involved in adjudicative, quasi-judicial functions. It means public administration agencies are involved in adjudication of disputes of different kinds. They also frame smaller rules, regulations, and bylaws, quasi-legislative functions. It carries out various programs and projects for the welfare and development of society, the developmental functions. So quasi-legislative functions, quasi-judicial functions or adjudicative functions or developmental functions, then ideological functions, A reconciliatory function, if there is any kind of conflict or friction between two groups and communities, it is administration which is asked to come and and to settle that dispute. But on the spot, first of all, we call administration to take charge of the things. So public administration has a multi-dimensional role and function.